educate me a little? If someone wants to join, they have to go to the waiting room
There's a waiting room now.
next, all the time. I mean, even if they joined while the meeting was in session.
Correct.
Okay, that's all. I just wanted to make sure, so we don't have that fiasco like we had.
That's, well, yes, that's
Yeah.
exactly why we implemented that.
Waiting.
Thank you. Yeah, I just want to make sure I
Alright.
understood.
Okay, so the chair will call the meeting to order. First item on the agenda is to approve the minutes of September 25th, 2025, and a motion to approve on Commission 11, and I'll second that. Any changes to the minutes? No, okay, well, then a vote unanimous that we adopt those minutes. Item 2 is to approve a supplemental appropriation.
Mr. Chairman, just real quick, I just would like, perhaps if, before he leaves, if Mr. Campbell could just look over that one paragraph in those minutes, just to make sure that that's all correct. If you don't mind, sir. Now, you don't have to do that now. If you could just take a peek at it before you left.
Yeah, and if you want to change to them, we can change it.
Okay. Okay? That would be of your last meeting. Yeah, when you came in.
I'm not worried about yesterday, I'm worried about tomorrow.
No, but what I'm saying is I because I don't understand everything you were saying
Yeah,
clearly,
yeah.
I wanna be sure that it's recorded properly.
Yeah,
All right,
absolutely.
then the commissioners are gonna withdraw our motion to approve the minutes and wait till the next time, till after Pat gets a chance to.
That would be, if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman, I'd appreciate that.
Okay, item 2 is to approve the supplemental appropriation to the 2025 Strafford County budget in the amount of $1,442,531 and recommend to the legislative delegation for approval and authorization. This adjustment to the budget is necessary. We've been advising the executive committee right along regarding our financial situation. Unless there's further discussion, no? Okay, so I got a motion, commissioners, to move that on to the county delegation.
Yeah.
Okay, it's moved by Commissioner Levin, seconded by myself. I'm assuming you're voting unanimous for that. The vote's unanimous? Yes. Okay. Item 3 is to approve the increase in amount to be raised by taxes on the Strafford County 2025 budget from $41,995,908 to $43,438,439. Recommend for legislative delegation for approval and authorization. The motion by Commissioner Levin, and I'll second that. All in favor, Commissioner? Okay, and so am I. The vote's unanimous. Item 4 is to move around the third round of tax anticipation note borrowing up the amount of $1,442,531 in 2025. Then a motion held by Commissioner Levin, myself, and the vote is unanimous that we do that. Item 5 is to approve a revenue anticipation note borrowing under the authority of RSA 29:8 up to the amount of $6,962,000. So moved by Commissioner Levin, and I will second that, and I'm assuming the vote is unanimous for that. So with all those motions being made, I just want to make one comment that I am hopeful, given the nature of the numbers we've been able to review, that we'll still be within the caps of the 3 cities, depending on the nature of what the revenue administration says. The value is in a couple of communities. We're still waiting for that stuff to all occur, but I'm hopeful for that. So we got some upcoming events. Have any older new business, Commissioner Raymond? Any older new business before we move on?
No, sir.
Workshop. So, no? Okay.
We'll have an old business item, but if it's okay with you, maybe perhaps the workshop could go first, and Dougie has an old item, something, or old piece, well, it's actually new business.
Is it? All right, well, Pat, we can do Doug and get to him.
Okay.
Doug, what do you got?
Good afternoon. Yesterday, the steamer in the jail kitchen failed. We've put quite a bit of money into this over the years, and I think it's at the end of its lifespan.
It's original.
It's the original one, yeah. We got a quote of about $5,000 to replace the heating element and rewire the unit. We're looking at 3 months lead time from China on the heating element, and needless to say, they need a steamer. I have reached out to alternative sales in Brentwood, place where we get a lot of appliances from, to get a quote. I believe we're looking at somewhere between $20,000 and $30,000 to replace that steamer. Right now we have, in our 2-year capital, we have about $6,000 left in the tray line remodel for for Riverside, but that's been completed. So going forward, once I get a quote and present it to the commission, can take a look at that, see if that's available to be used to pay for the unit.
Just if we could ask Doug to check a couple other places.
Right,
absolutely, yeah.
And secondarily, because I just learned about this a few minutes ago, I'd just like to take a look at the capital to see where else
Yeah.
there might be money available. So that when we do the final presentation
Right.
on this, hopefully at next week's meeting, I'll have it all together.
Well, this team is 20 years old, so that means it can't be 20 years old, right? Because the jail's 20 years old.
It's original equipment, it's about 21 years old.
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, repairing it usually is not, that's not advisable.
Well, the biggest thing is it's gonna alter our meal plan for
Right.
3 months.
That's a long, yeah, that's a long time.
That we hope we get the part from China.
I can tell you the parts from, I've seen in China in my business have not always been the greatest. I don't know if the new stuff is being made there, the new products. I guess we can find that out.
Yeah, you can shop around. A lot of it's still made in America. I
Yeah.
imagine from international components, but,
It's the stainless steel that you gotta worry about, you know?
yeah, and the fasteners are not. So we do have a lot of corrosion issues in that unit, which we've been repairing all along.
Yeah.
Does that include tariffs?
Yeah.
I think that's a direct result, actually.
Yeah, probably is. All right, well, we just need the 3 bids and,
Sure.
you know, we've got it. And, Ray, you can contact Commissioner Levitt and myself as soon as you get that information from the.
Yes, sir.
So we don't have to wait.
Dougie and I'll work on that. We'll work on it together.
Okay, all right.
I will, I'll be here all the way through. It's a week from Monday that I'll be off.
Okay, all right,
Just that one day.
gotcha. Okay, you guys all set with all the new business, Rand?
That was it, sir.
Okay, all right. Okay, so let's move on to our workshop then with Becky. So, my friend. Appreciate you guys coming back.
Thank you.
And talking to us. So you threw a lot of information at us last week. We'll take some time, take some time to look at it. The biggest question becomes is whether we've got an area of land adjacent to the jail and nursing home that we'd like you guys to take a look at. It's out behind the jail. It's out behind the arms house and our 6-bay garage and our evidence holding area. It's about 13 acres there. Now, the question becomes, should we use that? Right? Or should we divide this up like we talked about last week and have some panels here and there and everywhere? That's kind of the big
I
question.
mean, my sense would be that 13 acres wouldn't be enough for Riverside in the prison. That we would
Okay.
fill up that entire 13 acres that you're looking at probably 80 trackers or 75 trackers, which we didn't really get into, the technology.
That's the size, right?
Yeah, of the size, but we typically like them to be 70 feet apart, so they don't shade each other. And we like them to be 13 feet up in the air, so that the wildlife can go through them, we don't have to fence them. And we don't have to necessarily do an alteration frame permit. So on that 13 acres, I could get with Norway Plains. And maybe we could get 40 trackers in that 13 acres, then we're gonna have to look for other spots where we can be creative. Because of the flexibility, it's only a 5 square foot concrete post, like a light post. So we've done them in parking lots, we've done them over cars, we've done them, in hay fields, we've done them.
Yeah, have you done on this, like on the side of bankings of any type, or like on the side?
We
of the
have,
road?
we have a couple at some of the municipal projects we did in the North Country. But we really had to build an extra big concrete base. But all of that, can be managed. I think, what I would say to you is that all of those details can be worked out. And really, we have to make a commitment to each other. And then I'm gonna work with Norway Plains to come back and say, this is how we're laying out 80 trackers for the prison and the nursing home. This is how we're laying out 18 to 20 trackers for the courthouse. This is how we're laying out 5 or 6 trackers for Hyder House. And I do still believe that 2 things. The strategy I would like to do is to move forward with a project for Hyder House. Because I'd like you to, as much as you know me, George, and I know the delegation knows me, and, you know, I'm comfortable starting small and getting one project on the books relatively quickly versus trying to get a 2.5, 3 megawatt solar tracker project done in 90 or 120 days is a monumental task. And I also think that there's gonna be a lot of stakeholders to have buy-in in this project and wanna see it, touch it, hold it. And I think it's gonna be relatively easy to say, here's the Hyder House, here's the purchase power agreement. You pay me 12 cents, it's gonna save you $8 grand a year, 10 grand a year. It's not a huge thing, but it's something you can do. And it's the first step in considering a marriage. I dated my wife for 10 years before I got married. No, I didn't date her. I mean, she was just my friend. She wouldn't even date me. But
I can understand that.
yeah, I couldn't live with that comment. Boy, that one day she held my hand. It was the best day ever.
Yeah.
And stepping back just a second, the last meeting I was at, and I wouldn't want to necessarily change the minutes, but I would update, one of the biggest concerns I had, and I don't know if you guys understood it, was this 30% tax credit. When does it run out? When are you going to be eligible for it? How do you get it? How do you qualify? And in the midst of between the last meeting and literally this meeting a week later, the Treasury has come out with some clarification rules. More importantly than that, all the big law firms have come out with interpretations of those rules. And now you're finally seeing the industry saying, hey, this is what we think it means. So those rules were printed before our last meeting, but everyone was scratching their head. What does it mean? So essentially what it means is, and I sent this to Ray because I think this is an important first step for you to understand. And it supports why I want to just do the Hyder House step one. Because basically what this is saying, you're a commercial project with a purchase power agreement. We have, if we're less than 1.5 megawatts, which Hyder House would be essentially a 100 kilowatt system, pretty small commercial system. We can do 5% safe harbor. That can be as simple as me putting in the concrete bases, simple as me pulling a building permit, ordering the solar panels for that job, which honestly, I already have in my inventory in my warehouse. So I could allocate the panels to that job and boom, we've hit safe harbor, put that on my books under a PPA agreement. We're all set. We know the 30% is coming. There's a risk though, even with this and all the interpretation, there's a risk that I'm concerned for myself and I'm concerned for the county in that we can all sit there and say, woulda, coulda, shoulda. But we're in a regulated environment where now they're asking you to meet all these criteria that you didn't have to meet, where it used to be you automatically get 30% if you build a solar before 2032. It was a long horizon, it was this and that. Now it's, hey, if you're a commercial job over 1.5 megawatts, you gotta meet all this criteria, prevailing wage, you gotta non-foreign entity of where you add it, and it's 40% can't be bought from China, but you can buy some stuff from China. So all of that stuff, I think I have figured out. But if you're posting a bond and buying solar from me, and for some reason the IRS or the government says, hey, we're not giving you the 30%, you guys are out the 30%. And I can't do anything other than say, consult your advisor, consult your tax accountant, do that. And that's going to be a risk that I'm going to guess most of the delegation is going to say, we don't want to take that risk. We don't trust it, blah, blah, blah. And that's why I'm saying if you do a PPA, which is a purchase power agreement, where I say, I'm going to sell you power for 12 cents. Right now, looking at just the Hyder House bill, I can take your bill that was $2,800, divide it by the number of kilowatts that you purchased, and it was 20 cents a kilowatt. That's the entirety of the bill. When you look at individual line items on the bill, there's the default rate, 11.2 cents. There's the decommissioning, this charge, that charge. It's a Tuesday. Oh, and here's another 5 cents a kilowatt because we love you. And it ends up being 20 cents a kilowatt. The problem with that bill, again, we're trying to sell this to a large group And they're gonna say, how do we understand that we're really gonna save money when our competitive electric agreement is 10.5 cents? Why are we gonna pay the solar guy 12 cents? Because your competitive electric agreement is only about 50% of the cost of your bill that you're saving about 10% on. And what I'm gonna come in and say is, hey, we're gonna save you 20% on the whole cost of your bill. Because when you look at a bill, you have supply charges
Distribution charges.
and distribution charges. So on one of the bills that I was able to print from the hire house, your supply charge was $14.50, your delivery charge was $14.13. And that's how New Hampshire has some of the highest electrical prices in there, because they say, oh, well, it's not bad at, 0.0 whatever cents for my whole plant adjustment, my standard cost recovery, my distribution charge, my transmission charge. Oh, you know what I mean? But when you add up all those little parts and pieces, you're at 20 cents. So that's the first thing you gotta understand. That's what all of this adds up to. So when I say 12 cents, it's saving you 8 cents. But guess what? We still gotta be connected to the grid. They're still gonna get you for a monthly interconnection charge. They're still gonna get you for a standard recovery charge. There's nothing I can do to prevent that. But what I can do,
With no battery nighttime consumption?
yeah, and what I can do is tell you that of the systems where we've done this, and we did the Limster School District, and we didn't save them a ton of money. We saved them about $8,000 over the course of a year. But that's pretty good for a K through 8 school that houses the superintendent's office. It was good money for them. But what I'm gonna do is say, here's your PPA and here's your option to purchase. And I'm gonna commit to giving you an option to purchase at 30% less. So when you talk about deals and you talk about business, you talk about risk management. I know my business. I'm willing to take the risk based on how I understand the 30% is gonna be, based on that my accounting is tight, my accounting is good. I'm getting the 30%. And that's my risk if I do a purchase power agreement. And I don't want to have any of that be a worry for you or the delegation. And then what I'm saying to you is, we normally sell tractors for 75 grand. We're gonna give you an option to purchase that in year 6. And realistically, I don't care if it's year 2. I don't care, but I'm just using that as an example, for 30% less than today's cost. So you can buy something in 5 years at today's cost and get a 30% discount, guaranteed by the way I'm structuring the deal. Now, 2 things are gonna happen. You're gonna pay me, 25, 30 grand a year for the power for 5 years. That's part of the way I'm making money. I'm assuming I'm gonna get the 30% discount. I may apply for and receive a USDA grant, but that is about a half-court shot at this point. It's not really a guarantee that we could take. And you're not eligible for USDA grants because you're not a business. You're not a small agricultural business. So I can be a small business, either Bright Spot Solar or one of my affiliate LLCs. So we might, the way I wrote the draft that I'm gonna give you guys to read and peruse and look at, is that it would be with Bright Spot Solar. But honestly, it might be a different LLC because of the way you have to apply for the USDA grant. And I quite frankly might say, hey, look, I need 25% of the cash from a Mark Lopez or a Jim Shannon or somebody like that, that I'm gonna give a piece of this purchase power agreement, a piece of the tax credit, a piece of the thing. But it's just the way, think of it as the way I'm getting the project done, the way I'm financing the construction of the project. Because it really does cost, a lot of money to build these trackers. So if we're gonna go build 6 trackers, it really costs me $300,000 to build them. Like there's no way around that. Someone has to write that check and pay me and my guys to build that product. Now, we sell them for 75 grand a tracker, which a lot of that's overhead and this and that. So I did a couple of these that I'll just hand out that show like a little bit of a layout of what the hider house is. That's nothing more than a drone photo and just a quick, this is what it could look like. We would go to Norway Plains. There's quite a lot of wetlands just to the right of the hider house. Last time I was here, I showed you pictures of Shaw Drive, and you were like, oh, it's a 20-acre lot, but we only use about 8 acres of it. Cause we literally weaved the 60 trackers around the wetlands, so we had 0 wetlands impact. And we can easily do the same thing here, we can avoid any impacts on the wetlands. And basically, we thought about doing 5 trackers, because that's enough to offset. If you remember, in that folder, there's a total of your consumption. So the Hyder House used 212,000 kilowatts. 6 trackers will make about 240,000 kilowatts. So I wanna make sure
Yeah, you're close to the,
that we're making more than what you're taking, and the reason I wanna do that is our technology is different than regular solar. That's another thing we really gotta stress when you understand this. I'm not doing regular ground mount solar, I'm not doing roof mount solar, I'm doing dual axis trackers, because it's the first type of solar power that actually impacts the demand side of your bill. It actually lowers the demand side of your bill. Doesn't get rid of it completely, but because we're making stable power throughout the day, when they're testing for your demand charges, you're gonna have a lot more samples that come back at 0. So therefore, your average demand charge is gonna be much less. On this particular bill, your demand charge was 30.50 kilowatts. Are we gonna get that down to 17? Are we gonna get it down to 7? I honestly can't tell you. I've seen it go down quite a bit in my car washes. I've seen it go down in different businesses. But I don't know if you're gonna be clocking power hard all night long, and you're gonna have.
we don't know, we don't know, this depends on who we're taking care of early in the year right now, depending on the nature of the kind of.
So I can save you some money, and a lot of it's gonna depend on how much money we save you. We have found that if you do batteries, and I say you do batteries, because batteries are essentially to the modern generator backup. So if you're trying to find it in your budget or in your capital improvement to improve the generators that you have, and I don't wanna speak for Dougie, but it sounded like you had an estimate to upgrade the generators several years ago, you didn't do it, it was $5 million and 265,000 to do a study to update the generators. I can tell you, if you spend $5 million on batteries at today's technology, you won't ever need to use those generators. I mean, you keep them online, keep them there just in case, but those would become your generators. And they'd be more than a generator. It's like on the Hyder House, if you guys said, hey, look, Packy, we'll spend 100 grand on batteries, that could give you full backup to your hospice care facility. And more importantly, it could guarantee that we're getting rid of all of your demand charges, because we wouldn't take power at night. We'd be essentially what they call a microgrid. So we would make enough power during the day to cover all your power consumption, and we'd fill the battery. And that's part of the reason why I'm proposing 6 trackers. So we would send more power to the grid than you would use. At the end of the year, we probably have about 30,000 kilowatts that the grid's gonna pay us a little more than 12 cents a kilowatt, probably about 12.7 cents a kilowatt. And note that, because I'm only charging you 12 cents a kilowatt. So it's, you're gonna be paying me less than the credit that the grid is giving the on-bill for on-bill.
And that number's based on today's default rate, they're gonna go up or down.
That could go up and down, it changes every 6 months. But as I say to most people, everybody who thinks their power bill is gonna go down in the next 5 years, raise your hand. Not a whole lot of people are raising their hand. You're probably not gonna see a decrease in your power bills. So again, a big thing about this is we're gonna fix your power bill. I'm proposing that we do 12 cents for 5 years, then it goes up a penny for 5 years, up a penny for 5 years. But it would be a 20-year contract that would guarantee you that you'd still be 5 cents cheaper than what you're paying today, 20 years from now. So that's a pretty good deal. And it's really about controlling your cost and fixing your cost. And I think that's something that most people can understand. And again, that's why I am asking you at this point, let's do Hyder House. And then let's have a track to continue to explore the other 3 projects where we're saying, hey, we're gonna quote these, we're gonna do it. But let me come in here. I mean, we poured 5 base tops today on a job. Let me come in here and put 6 concrete bases in 3 days, run all the conduit, and then boom, you see the trackers go up and you're like, wow, this guy built those trackers in 3 weeks. There's only 6 of them, but now we think we can do 70 more over here in 6 months.
Right.
And that's something, so I'm very much a show me kind of guy, you know what I mean? I go out and score the goal, hit the shot, whatever you wanna call it, you know, my toxic masculinity, but whatever. I'm ready to go and get things done. And I'd like to just get 100 kilowatt system done with you. That's the strategy. Lock in the 30%. And then to the degree that we have a roadmap for the other stuff, we have 10 months to be substantially
Yeah.
underway.
Yeah.
And then we have 4 years to complete the project, which is good for me because, you know, with Eversource and supply chains and all that sort of stuff, I don't want to be under the gun to have to complete the project by the end of 2027. So if we hit the grandfather status in this outline by simply of July 4th, 2026, being substantially under construction or the 5% safe harbor rule. And that 10 months, I didn't understand I had 10 months when I was at the last meeting. I thought I only had 90 days, so I was a
Right,
little,
that's what I thought too.
yeah, I was a little nervous about that. So we did some more research. We definitely have 10 months to do the bigger projects. And what I would propose is let's move forward on the Hyder House with a simple PPA agreement.
Yeah.
And then an option to buy it that locks in your price to buy the solar. And then you can decide if you want to do a motion to add to your tax credit financing or post a bond for the, I mean, I don't know what your bond rates are right now. Or what you're borrowing money for, is it 7%, 6.5%? I don't
No,
know.
we don't, yeah, we don't have that great, but I get what you're saying. We'd have to do it. Ray, we're gonna have to do it.
Yeah, but Ray, you could sit down and do some math and say, hey, look, if we borrow $250,000, it cost us $1,200 a month.
And I think one of the things that, he's talked a lot of stuff, but the scale of the jail and the
Oh, I
nursing home
understand.
is so much different, that the risk capacity over here is a lot different than frankly yours.
Right.
In regards to being able to, the capital requirements, the upfront capital and what have you. So part of it is, yeah, let's prove it to you, but the next step is whether maybe we do the county, this, admin building. The other two are on you, but at least it's in the works,
Right.
the foundation's laid, and most importantly, that if we write the contract as multiple phases, that the qualifications might be able to carry over to benefit in the long run, the larger project.
I get it.
Like the hider job, we can write the contract in a way that it looks like it's step one in a larger project, but there would be some milestones and some outs for both sides
Right.
and whatnot, but I'm not too worried about that because I think we can hit the milestone and get another contract for either the courthouse or
Between
whatever.
now and July.
Yeah, and I can do a PPA on the courthouse and swing the financing to get, 18 or 20 tractors built. But to come in, I'm gonna say to you that you guys should buy batteries because it'll get rid of your demand charges and save you more money on your bills. You should buy batteries because it's gonna cover you for your backup situation. It's literally a blink of the eye. The batteries just come on. And most importantly, if you lose power and you have batteries, solar will continue to work. And that's a tricky way you gotta design the system. Right now, and this is something I wanna be clear with, because I've had a lot of customers that I've done PPAs for, and the power goes out, and they say, I have solar, why is my power out?
Right.
And there's always somebody, and there's, again, 37 people in the delegation, 15 of them are gonna wonder why they don't have backup, because now we have solar. Solar does not work if the grid is offline. A solar inverter has to see power in order to convert DC to AC at whatever frequency that's coming in at. So solar does not work when it's offline. The only time solar can work when it's offline, if it has batteries and it has what they call black start, which is essentially means that when the solar starts producing, it'll start up the batteries and it'll go. If you don't have batteries, solar will not work when the grid is off. So it does nothing to resolve your strategic backup needs or your auto restart. But if you guys buy batteries, then I can design a system, and on Hyder House, for instance, the type of inverter that we're gonna get is a hybrid inverter. It's called an HU. It has a load and a grid side, and we're gonna wire it in. And oddly enough, that that solar will work when the power goes out, so I'm talking out of both sides of my house. But that only will work because it's a battery inverter.
Battery inverter.
And there's one other component of it, is that the battery storage doesn't have the same new restraints that came on from Trump's recent budget. They're treated differently than solar. Solar is, being downgraded,
Right.
but there's been no effect on batteries, so that storage, the credits, your eligibility, all that stuff really hasn't changed.
Yeah, that's,
What's the lifetime of the batteries?
It depends on the type of battery that you get, but I will explain it this way. A battery is always rated for cycles, so say you have 10,000 cycles. And you say, oh, I'm gonna do a cycle every day, I have 10,000 days, okay, so that's 10 years, 7 or 8 years, whatever that math is. But it's a cycle. Most of the time, you're only gonna cycle the battery 25%. So now that 10,000 just became 40,000 days.
are we talking like lithium batteries, are we talking AGMs, I mean,
I recommend a chemistry called lithium ion phosphate,
phosphate, yeah,
which is just different than nickel or manganese.
Right.
Much more stable battery chemistry, none of the fire issues, none of the
right,
batteries are all pretty safe. I mean, right now, if we all put our cell phones on the phone, and if these batteries weren't safe, we shouldn't be walking around with them. There's 2 big batteries right there on the table. Their batteries are mature technology at this point. They're very safe. And it depends on who you wanna deal with. And some of the delegation may say, well, we don't wanna deal with China. Well, guess what?
yeah.
Even with the tariffs, even with this, China's still a pretty good deal, okay? That being said, we're an authorized dealer for Tesla, 100% American company, sourced lithium in America, and we're a Tesla authorized installer for both Powerwalls and the solar roof. And we can order the mega packs if that's the routine that you wanna go, and you would need 3 mega packs for the prison, and you're looking at probably $4.5 million, $5 million to install enough Tesla mega pack, but that would give you true grid independence, it would give you complete resiliency, and it might even give you options to make some money, because you could bid into energy markets with that amount of energy sitting here. You guys could actually sell power when there's peak demand and make some money. Like, you might want to empty your batteries 7 or 8 times a year just because you can. So there's some revenue, upstream revenue in owning batteries that I don't think is worth it. But when you look at it,
When you kick in the generator piece, so that's what makes it.
Right, in your situation, it worked.
We would need a cogen plan if we had the batteries, like we've been talking
Well, that's
about.
true. That's true. It all it's a matter of. Well, yeah,
Yeah, if I could.
Yeah.
What type of footprint would you need, for a single mega pack?
a single mega pack is probably 40 by 80. It's not huge.
Okay, and those are indoors,
Outdoors.
outdoors, okay.
So think of it like, and I hate to say it, 'cause
batteries are outdoors, huh?
they're outdoors,
You don't
yeah.
have to enclose them or anything?
No, not the mega packs, but like if we did Hyder House and we did batteries that I could get for like $500 a kilowatt now, those would be inside and they would be tied into those 2 inverters, and you'd probably do 400 to 600 kilowatts of storage, just enough to get you through the night and to have backup for one
Right.
day. Then the solar would come on, meet your power needs during the day and charge your batteries.
Battery.
And, it
The
means,
formula's like still like 10-1, right, between AC and DC in terms of produced through the inverter. It's 10-1, isn't it? I always thought that, it's like 10, that's how it is in the marine industry, we are looking at 10-1. In terms of battery size versus, AC output. Converting DC through the inverter to AC.
yeah, so if you had a 10 kilowatt battery, you're saying it can cover 100 kilowatts of consumption, or
Right.
vice versa.
Size for, yeah.
Okay.
It's 10-1, no, I mean, that's what it is in the marine industry, I don't know what.
Yeah, I mean, we can do some analysis on that. I don't think anyone as of yet, as an industry, has a concrete formula for that, because it varies on so much stuff. But I can tell you, I've spent the last 6 years trying to get the perfect balance. So like, we have a 37 kilowatt system at my house, and I have 70 kilowatts of battery storage. And we use about 35 kilowatts every night. So I try to have enough battery storage to carry me through 2 nights, assuming we're gonna have some cloudy days or some rainy days, this and that, so like,
Okay. So if it's outside, it doesn't, we don't need to worry about suppression systems or anything like that
correct.
for the inside, okay?
Correct.
Just one more question. The material in the solar panels, a cadmium telluride or crystal silicone?
I
And the new
honestly
stuff?
I don't know that.
Okay.
That I can find out for you, but I mean, they're similar, but I think if you're getting at, what do we do with recycling 30 years from now?
No, I'm just thinking, the USDA and the Department of Energy just released a smash study about those two technologies going forward for funding. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's even stuff that's viable.
Yeah, I'm not aware of any of those things affecting me, like the solar panels are, silicone and glass and aluminum, and they are coated with, some gas to make them work, but it's really, all it's doing is taking the thermonuclear power plant of the sun, the radiation from the sun, it converts that radiation into DC current. That DC current goes through a wire, hits an inverter, that inverter turns it from DC to AC. And again, this is a 30-year-old plus technology, maybe 40, I mean, Jimmy Carter put them on the White House, and we are a mature technology. And I'll say quite honestly that it makes sense without the additional depreciation bonuses that you're getting. You're still gonna get, like for a guy like me, I'm gonna get depreciation when I build this stuff. But the minute I sell it to you in your option, I'm gonna pay depreciation recapture, so that really doesn't matter so much. But if I was holding it long-term, the depreciation would be good.
Yeah, we'd be good.
Um,
I don't think we have that capacity rate, if I remember correctly. We don't have that capacity to do that.
No.
No.
And just to make sure that, I assume you're aware, but if the county is the buyer, it is eligible for those credits, like direct money to you. Like, I assume you're aware of that.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
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 yeah.
direct.
So that's
Right.
another thing, when you talk about a $15 million project or whatever, that's a pretty good piece of change to be coming back.
Right.
Maybe not 50 million, but that's
Sure.
a good component of it.
yeah, I mean, you're,
That stays in place now for the next 2 years,
Yes,
unless
that had-
unless these
that had
regs
sunsetting
change
too.
something.
as long as you are started and substantially under construction by July 4th of 2026, then you'll actually have 4 years to complete the project. You'll have the normal rules. If for some reason you're not under construction by then or substantially complete, then you only have until the end of 2027 to complete your project.
But there's a cap of 1.5 megawatts, so it can't be, whatever we do here, it can't be more than 1.5 megawatts.
Which is why I'd like 4 projects.
Can you split it up? If you do
Yes,
4 projects?
because we'd have the meters to do that, and we have the infrastructure to do that.
Even for the same owner.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, as long as you have I will say that there's a little bit of dispute with some of the stuff I say, George. And it's not because, I don't believe what I'm saying, or I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just saying reasonable people can reasonably disagree. The net metering laws in a lot of states in New Hampshire say retail meter. They don't say lot, they don't say owner, they don't say property,
Yeah, I get
they
it.
say retail meter. You
Right.
have 3 meters, you can do 3 systems on this property. And for a practical matter,
We could split that up and even have more if you had
and I would make that recommendation for the jail and the nursing
Yeah.
home, because
nursing home.
Because
yeah,
if you're under the 1.5 megawatts and you need 2 megawatts over there. So if you put another meter on the jail, which I think you should, because you have federal prisoners over there and you have all this stuff going on, let's have a separate meter for our prison and really look at what that cost is. And that's not, and I mean, I realize that's not a snap your fingers thing, Dougie, but trying to get all of those sections of the building into one panel and having that panel go to 1 meter, no new transformers, no new service, just 1 meter, then I wanna do 2 1 megawatt systems. Again, small bite, I've done 1 megawatts, I know how to design 1 megawatts, I know how to finance 1 megawatts. I can go to 2 different banks and do a little bit of financing with you and a little bit of financing with you, get it done, and get my money in 5 years. And then at 55, to make the sale when I'm 60 and get that cash flow, I'm fine with that. And in the meantime, I'm really here, yeah, to make money, but to be honest, not to sound arrogant, I make a lot of money. I don't need to do this deal. But I wanna do this deal because I want to save my county money. I wanna have an example of what clean energy or really distributed energy looks like. I really wanna start convincing people of the just tremendous benefits of this new technology, especially solar panels that make power on both sides instead of one side, trackers that track the sun that make power more than one side. I wanna do subdivisions with a solar tracker on every single, house in the subdivision. I wanna do some stuff, and to the degree that you now can go and see in Rochester the project that I have done, not that I've talked about doing, that I have done, and you can see what the output is. And it was exactly the output we projected. We said we're gonna do 600,000 kilowatts every quarter. Today's September 30th. We did 609,000 kilowatts of production. We came online July 9th. We probably would have done about another 60,000 if it was those 3 months. So I can make 2.4 megawatts of power on a 1 megawatt solar system. If you had 1 megawatt of ground mount, you'd only make like 1.5 megawatts. So the reason why this works, and the reason why you couldn't do solar otherwise, it didn't have enough production to offset that graph that shows all your stuff. So it's important to have a technology that in a limited amount of space can get more bang for your buck. It's more calorically dense, to use a food expression. These panels make more power, and that's why they make economic sense. And although, yes, it costs more per kilowatt DC to put this stuff up, but it's less per kilowatt AC because you get more production. What I care about is what is the widget that my solar factory or my kilowatt hour, I'm selling kilowatt hours, I'm selling electricity, I'm producing electricity, that is my product. I make more of that product for the amount of money I invest. And it's that simple. And then we don't have fences, we don't have AOT, we're able to weave these in, we can put some in the parking lot. I don't know that you're gonna want them on the lawn of the hider house. I kind of like the idea of being in the backfield, a little bit screened, a little bit out of the way. I think that there's gonna, I think they're beautiful. Some people don't, I don't know what my wife wanted to have been on orchard, but they're there now, and now they blend in, they're beautiful. So those are gonna be considerations with all of the stakeholders that we have here. So we wanna put these in a way that you can put the trackers over here. You can't put 60-foot trees up to block them because you can't block the sun. But can you put 10-foot lilac bushes all the way around them so when you're driving by, you don't look over and see them? Yeah, you can really cove them and landscape them in a very creative way. And the underneath part can be a low brush field or even a low brush forest, which has better characteristics for the wildlife and the drainage. So the pitch is, to kind of wrap it up, that we just look at trying to do the hider house. Whenever your next meeting is, that I can get for you guys to review a proposed contract. We try to keep it pretty simple. We're saying, here's an option agreement, and that's here. Here's a purchase power agreement. It's here. And then that'll give you 5 years to decide if you want to buy it or not. Or you might say, geez, our power bill, this might save you 50% on your power bill 5 years from now. And that's where you gotta be, it's like a hedge against inflation. If Eversource came to you and said, I'll give you a 20-year deal, this is your deal. And, I'm not quite ready to do what I call my sharp angle close, but, I'll do it now anyways, George. We'll do this deal. And if you say we don't want to pay a rent bump, we want to pay 12 cents for 20 years. That's how committed I am to trying to get something done with the county. Because I believe that as a significant taxpayer in this county, that I know I'm probably one of those awful fiscal conservatives, I am. But I think the way you save money is to make money.
Right. Yeah, be smart about it.
And this is a great way to say, this guy's coming in. And, you know, there's probably gonna be one or two people in the delegation who say, that snake oil salesman, what's he up to? You know, so, and that's okay.
Only one or two?
All right. You're either in the fan club or you're not.
Right.
There's no in between, but I think that, and that's my point, is that we all gotta come together, we have more in common than we have apart. And the one thing that we should do as responsible citizens is A, give responsible fiscal management to our citizens, to the entire county, by saying, we just locked in our power bill for 20 years. You know, there's still gonna be someone somewhere, you're gonna get a negative Facebook or
Yeah.
whatever, nothing you can do. But that is objectively a very good thing for the county to do. And it's a very good thing to say, okay, we have this innovative technology that's sweeping this area more than other areas. We have an entrepreneur who's figured out a way to make more power with less space. Take advantage of those things. And again, I don't mean to say that I'm awesome, but I'm pretty good. And I think I could save you guys a lot of money over the next 20 years by locking in your prices today for a 20-year contract. And then you guys can do the math and say, hey, we'd rather just own this system for
Forever. Yeah.
for 300 grand.
Yep.
And then we give you a 20-year maintenance contract and monitoring contract. We stand behind it. Again, I mentioned the last meeting, we keep ownership of that SRAC, which means if you're not making power, we're not getting paid for our maintenance, warranty, and monitoring. Versus if we had a monitoring and a maintenance contract, hey, I'm getting $1,000 from all my past customers every year. And it's like, they call you. I had one guy who didn't take the deal 3 years ago and called me yesterday, and he was like, can you go do maintenance? Oh, no, I don't want to. I told you the deal, you didn't want the deal. So I'm doing it for him because I don't want to leave him high and dry, but he's paying me $800. Now I gotta go bill him $800, make sure I get paid, schedule it. He had to call me, you know what I mean? Like, we have a system in place, so we have a group of guys that just do maintenance. They have a schedule. It's like clean the bathroom, check the box, they go out. And now we have all these trackers that are working really well because we're looking at them. And I'm gonna say, can we look at them every day? Sure. The ones we look at every day are the ones that we think might be having a problem, which isn't a lot, but we look at them once a month. So on the first of the month, we have to make sure they did the production, and we're able to look through our database and see the string, see the panels, see the voltages, see the amps, right down to the individual string level. It's unbelievable. And that is part of the expense. So we put in a very, a big control system, which is a revenue grade control system, so that we can bill you. And we have CTs on how much solar we made, how much solar you used, how much solar went back to the grid, how much loss we had. All of that stuff is in a portal that I can give you a username and password. You can look at it every day. And I find customers do that for about 3 months. They look at it every day and then they. So I'd like to do the Hyder House. I'd like to do a PPA and give you an option to purchase it for 30% less. And if we can get all the stakeholders to go along with that small project, then I'll spend some time figuring out the mess across the street. But I don't want to spend $100,000 of my time doing that. And if we can get a good vote from this and a good feeling from all the stakeholders, and hopefully, I mean, I hate to say it, I want to see a unanimous vote from the delegation that this is a good idea, a great way to save money. And, and I know that's a crazy thing to say, but my point is that I believe in my abilities as a salesman. But I think that if you have a willingness to really look at options to save money, and we don't come in and say, we're all gonna die in 20 years if we don't do this, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that, I like clean air, but I like clean energy, I like distributed energy, I like energy resilience, I like energy independence, and I like fixing your costs for the next 20 years. That's pretty good.
Any questions?
Any questions? Sign right there, George.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna, so. In this package, you got the numbers for this? Did you produce the number for this and estimate the cost and all that?
For a purchase, no, that is just a power purchase agreement proposal with the option to purchase it later.
okay?
So if you're saying is there a proposal for the county just buying everything?
Right.
No, after last meeting, we didn't
Well,
think that was the direction.
Well, whether
I
it's
would
the
love
direction
you
or
to
not,
just buy 6 tractors. from me,
Right,
If you wanna do that, I
right,
would love
what
that.
I'm saying to you is, I gotta have both,
Okay,
I need to have both. because
We can
without
email that
both-
to you
Sure,
tomorrow, or the next day, no
Okay.
problem.
that's easy, yeah.
Yeah, I need to have both, simply because with both, okay, when I have to go to the powers to be, if we decide that we wanna own it, I gotta go to the delegation, I gotta have the ability to say, okay, here's the
Option A,
cost,
option B.
option A, option B.
Sure.
And, you know, we propose to do A, or we propose to do B. How much does private sector do? Okay, I love the private sector, I want the private sector to make money, I want the government to operate efficiently as it can. That's what I wanna see. However, just because I wanna see that, doesn't necessarily always work out that way.
Sure.
Okay, so, but we need both. And I'm still waiting for the county attorney to get back to me, because this is basically a sole source contract for us, okay? I like the articulating idea, I always did, they always said that, you know, had a longer term payback. Then wasn't.
There's a shorter term payback, so what I'll give you is I'll email, Ray.
Yeah,
and-
or Janet, yeah.
Yeah, and I'll email you guys, one, an ROI if you buy the
Yeah.
thing. If you buy 6 trackers for $450,000, we're gonna assume you're gonna get the 30% to do the paperwork and
Right.
get all that, and I
Yeah.
think that's pretty good. 100% chance that's gonna happen if we hit these dates in this little outline that I sent you. That'll lower the cost 30%, and then we look at what is the ROI, your rate of return, because it's gonna eliminate this power bill.
Right, right.
And then how much does it lower that power bill? You're saving, just say you're saving $2,000 a month that you're not paying anymore. And that is the fastest way you're gonna get a return on your investment. And this is a 30-year investment cycle.
Right.
And the other thing I look at is if you say, okay, we're gonna borrow, we're gonna do 450, you're gonna borrow, say, 70% of that 450.
3.5 or 4 or something.
Yeah, $315,000. And this is just, I'm gonna,
Just do the numbers real fast, I mean, I could probably do them in my head, but I'm too tired tonight.
so you're getting 4.5% for 20 years. That payment's $1992. Instead of having a $2,800 bill, so you're
Right.
saving $800 a month.
Yeah. So
Versus if you do a PPA and you're saving $800 a month and you don't have any debt.
And you're not, yeah, right, there's no investment, you get the
Yeah.
tax credit, which is great.
Yeah, the difference there is, right, you get the tax credit, if you
Right.
want it.
How long would it take to get online from start?
If you guys told me to go, I would wanna try and get online by the end of the year.
Yeah.
But if you tell me to go on November 15th,
No,
then,
I can't.
That's the weather and everything.
then I'm gonna be dealing with winter, and
Yeah,
it's probably gonna be April 15th.
This battery thing outside too, I mean, put that in the, we gotta have that in the mix.
Yeah.
Okay,
So what I'm proposing is that the county would buy the batteries.
Yeah.
Because I can't build batteries and then be charging you a monthly fee for the cost of those batteries.
yeah,
But the county can justify buying batteries instead of buying $5 million worth of generators, buy $5 million worth of batteries. Then you have all the backup you need. The Tesla Megapacks are guaranteed for 25 years. So it's really a long-term investment, even longer than these generators. And that'll allow you to not send any power back to the grid, where they're only gonna give you the 12 cents credit.
Which is yourself.
And you'd be self-sufficient. So you'd have very little interplay with the grid, and you'd probably export just a little bit. So when you look at that in the context of, okay, you got a $70,000 a month power bill. All right, would you rather have a $60,000 or $50,000 a month loan payment and have complete backup
Right.
in
Yeah.
distributed energy and the ability to not take stuff. And for what it's worth, as the county being a leader in clean energy and showing how, when you run those diesel generators and you run your stuff on natural gas, and 70% of the power mix in New Hampshire is from natural gas, you guys are big polluters. You really are. As a guy who has asthma, I wanna say knock it off and buy solar from me. But I mean, there's some truth in that, you know what I mean, in that, you know, I'm gonna die 5 years sooner than I should. Because I have a condition that I've had my whole life. And I'm breathing in dirtier air than I should. And it's killing me a little bit faster than everybody else, and we all accept it. And for me, I'd like society to stop accepting that. Because there's no doubt about it that cars pollute. And if we could have an electric economy with electric backup and electric cars, you know, as simple as, you know, park a diesel truck in your garage for 15 minutes, see what happens. Park your electric truck in the car for 15 minutes, you're okay. So we're in a dome, folks, and New Hampshire does have air pollution issues, even though we seem like we have pretty good air quality. And I mean, I don't want to ever talk about COVID too much, but the comorbidity rates for people that died from COVID was much higher in areas where air pollution was much higher.
Right.
That you breathed in crappy air, you had a much bigger chance of having a respiratory problem that you couldn't handle. So I do, you know, even as the conservative Republican that I am, George, I really do want to see clean air in New Hampshire.
Well, I like this, I'm glad I met a conservative Republican that actually believes in solar. I didn't think they existed.
Yeah,
Just give us the numbers, okay?
I'll get you the numbers, I'll get you.
Batteries.
You know,
We purchase it,
yeah.
we don't purchase it, you purchase it, we
Yeah.
tie.
So, just to be clear, we only focusing on the height of house?
Just talk about,
Negative.
yeah, I'm with you on that, I get you on that.
Yep, we'll do
Yeah,
one
The other
thing,
stuff is much smaller.
small, easy.
Well, it makes sense.
Well, it makes sense. Right,
And if it makes sense on a little thing, it's gonna make sense on
on
a
the
big
big
thing.
thing, right. That's the bottom line. Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Actually, I didn't want it in your packet.
Again, I learned more here in 45 minutes than I've had for the last 2 years. I'm so frustrated over this thing because I wanted to get this thing moving a long time ago. Probably the good thing we didn't because I wanted the articulating systems. I heard they've come a long way.
They have come a long way.
Yeah, I heard they come a long way. Well,
Yeah, we've done
for the
a lot of-
I'm looking 30 years,
So,
you know, articulating systems, you know, it's just,
just add that extra 70% of production over,
right,
it's like,
yeah.
and not everybody has that 30-year look at,
Right.
Oh, okay,
No, it's a long term. thing.
but it comes
Yeah.
out.
It's a long term solution.
Right. Good to see you guys.
Good to see you.
We'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Get some stuff, as soon as we get the gray,
I am
I'll
curious.
get Sean and I'll get in here and we'll talk about it. Good evening.
Thank you, sir, gentlemen, sorry, I just want these two.
So you want me to?
Okay. We got a,
For nursing?
Thick.
question,
The other two?
comments from
No.
the public? Susan, you have any
You had
questions?
these.
I did, but I forgot.
I had some too, but there's a lot,
I
there's a lot.
had one,
So kind of
just as
these.
point of
Yeah,
clarification.
Okay.
You're asking the delegation, I think, round numbers, 1.4 extra,
Right,
and that is rolled into
The-
the TAN note that's included in that 6 point.
in that in the last
No.
6 months. No.
There's two separate notes.
Okay.
One note is a TAN note and one note's a RAN
RAN
note. It's anticipating the revenue that we've earned, that we've paid out, that we've earned but haven't received the revenue yet.
In other words, like your for an example, like the Medicaid payments. or whatever.
Exactly,
Right, right.
that's
Or-
your 100%,
Yeah.
and or the
The
jail.
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 I mean, we're earning close to $1 million a month and they're,
Thank you, that's, okay,
can I add one thing to that answer?
absolutely.
The one thing I wanted to add to that answer is I am not sure if there's a government shutdown.
How that's gonna affect.
Correct.
Well, I think we're pretty safe on the Medicaid end. I'm not confident on the jail end.
Interesting.
And there's no way to find out, obviously. You know, I won't even know at midnight tonight. I mean, the only thing we'll know at midnight tonight is if there's a shutdown.
Right.
But I'm not gonna know.
I don't know about social security, I mean, usually
Well,
they leave that alone,
the-
you don't know. what-
It's a complicated billing process, but trust me when I say that, the people that handle the bills, you know, in other words, when we send them, they have no idea.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
They don't even know if they have a job.
Right.
Jail situation, I know that we have the ICE detainees here, and I made kind of like in my mind, an assumption that when they leave our facility, they're flown out of Pease, but now Pease has, or
No,
where
they
are they
stopped.
going?
They
And
stopped flying out of peace.
exactly, so where are they flying out of, and is that an additional expense to us?
No expense to
No
us.
expense.
No expense to us. okay.
No, we don't, and we don't transport them
And we
any
don't know,
longer
we
either.
don't know, we're not transporting them, we don't know where they,
I honestly
Where
don't,
they're going.
I honestly don't know where they're going.
we don't know where they're going.
That's why,
Once they leave us, we don't have any idea.
I just saw that they had halted at Pease, so
They
I
just stopped.
just
They just
didn't
stopped.
know how that all worked.
first of September, they
Yeah,
stopped.
They stopped.
Yeah,
I think they did do one flight in September.
Yeah.
Maybe, they were doing 3 flights a week. I think they only did 1 flight at the very beginning of September and then they stopped. And the reason I know that is I frequently have to come in at night before to give them the cash so that they will leave with cash. Because when they came to us, they came with a paper check. Good luck at getting that cashed in Brazil
Yeah.
or
right.
some
Guatemala.
Guatemala.
I wasn't quite
Mexico,
sure how that all.
Yemen, or anywhere that they would be
They don't
deported to.
share that information with us, which is a good thing, because I don't wanna have to.
Well, there's no point in it. There's no value. We book them in on a mini booking,
Right,
on a mini booking.
many,
It's not, cause they're only with us for a day
day,
for
right.
those people that were flying out.
Mhm.
We only did like a mini booking, otherwise we would never get them all booked by the time they'd have to leave.
It's just, I read the article in the newspaper and just was thinking about it, and I was just wondering how that all worked with us and over there, and
I can, well, if you read the net, if you try to look through all the noise,
good
okay?
luck.
Yeah, good luck with that. Most of their operations have been in major cities and,
Most of their operations have been sanctioned.
right, in sanctuary cities. That's the bottom line. They're doing operations in sanctuary areas of the country. And so that.
All I did was, I read the article in Boston
Yeah.
and had a question about
Yeah,
it.
well, that's the easiest answer I can give you.
I'll
So,
take it. for that.
Okay, Chair's gonna recess this meeting because we got a meeting with the executive committee. I just need to see you.
Anything, I was gonna talk to you.